Voluntary movement means that we can control that movement. We can control how our arms and legs are moving. During that movement, our body produces heat. You always can feel that you're warm or hot when you're moving, exercising. And also another function of those muscles is protecting our organs when they are located around our organs. Like for example, muscles of our abdominal wall protect our internal organs, our intestines. Next type of muscles would be cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are located in the heart, and their main function is to contract and pump blood. Smooth muscles are located in the walls of major organs like stomach, like urinary bladder, gallbladder, intestines, and passageways, which would be our bronchi or our blood vessels. That movement is involuntary. We cannot control those muscles, and while working, they move our food, they control our respiration, move our secretions, and also regulate flow of blood in arteries by contraction. Okay, now about structure, we'll talk in the next couple of slides. So that is a picture from your book, and I cannot say that I like this picture. So read the description. Skeletal muscle cells have prominent striation and nuclei on their periphery. And let's look at a different picture. So those are skeletal muscles. They look striated. They have nuclei on their periphery, on the sides. That one is a muscle cell. That's another muscle cell. Striated. Nuclei sitting on the side. Next one. Smooth muscle cells have a single nucleus and no visible striations. If right here in skeletal muscles, in one cell you could see several nuclei, in the smooth muscle, one cell has just one nucleus. That's a better picture where you can see smooth muscles. One cell, one nucleus, no striations. Finally, cardiac muscles. They also striated and have single nucleus, and also they are branching. So here are the cardiac muscles. First let's look right here. So also long cylindrical cells, also striated, but they have one nucleus in one cell and they are branching. Okay, so here you can see that they are branching and they are striated, and also you can see those lines. Those lines are called intercalated discs, and those are borders between the cells. So right here between this disc and this disc will be one cardiac muscle cell. Next one, nervous tissue. Excuse me. Nervous tissue is mostly made of neuron and also some supporting cells. Neurons are long cells. They have a body with a nucleus and very long axons connecting them with other cells in the body. They also branching cells. So their function is to transmit electrical signals from sensory receptors, like we have receptors in our skin and we feel touch or temperature, and that information is carried to muscles and glands through our central nervous system. What does it mean? If I touch a hot plate, information from my receptors will go to my brain through the neurons, or to my spinal cord also, and spinal cord will respond with a signal to my muscles to withdraw my hand from that hot plate. Location: brain, spinal cord, and nerves all over the body. Usually those are called peripheral nerves. So that's another picture, and one more picture of neurons. That is a cell body. That is a cell body. Those are extensions. There are two types. Dendrites are short extensions, but each cell has at least one long extension, which would be called axon. Now, tissue injury and repair. It's not uncommon that we damage our tissues. We can cut our finger accidentally or scratch our skin, and in that case there will be a wound. Blood vessels in that area will be damaged, and blood immediately will fill that wound. And soon that blood will clot. So when clotting happens, it is caused by special clotting proteins, and later on the surface the scab will be formed. At the same time, when blood is clotting right here, nearby blood vessels dilate and release special white blood cells in this area. Why would blood vessels dilate? Because damaged tissues from here release special chemicals, inflammatory chemicals. Example would be histamine, and those chemicals dilate blood vessels. Okay, so injury, blood clot is formed, damaged tissues release inflammatory chemicals, chemicals dilate blood vessels release white blood cells. White blood cells will kill all the bacteria and viruses and clean this area from the debris. That is the first stage called inflammation. That is our skin and different layers of the skin. Second stage would be called organization and restored blood supply. It takes some time, usually days. Scab will be sitting on the surface, but deep inside of the skin, those two sides of the wound will be right now connected with help of granulation tissue, mostly made of fibers, and also blood vessels are growing inside there. That is granulation tissue, fibers and blood vessels. And finally, much later, epithelium is completely restored, that is a top layer of the skin. The scab is gone, and right here inside we have a scar tissue. Okay, the last slide, tissues and cancer. Cancer is a generic term for many diseases, but in each of them, cells escape regulatory signals. What does it mean? Usually our cells are regulated and they receive signals when it's time for them to divide or when it's time for them just to stay put and do their work. If those muscle cells, they contract. If those are gland cells, they produce hormones for us, so they are doing their work. Sometimes cell nuclei are damaged, and that causes uncontrolled growth, and those cells start reproducing, and they change a lot in their appearance, and they start growing only. They do not perform their function anymore, and they can go into the neighbor organs, colonize the neighbor organs, or they even can be spreading through the blood, through blood vessels, and form metastasis if not treated early enough. So that's how cancer cells are different from normal cells. And when tumor is growing in some part of the body, the tumor robs blood supply from the normal organs. Tissues are starving, suffering, and organs cannot perform their function.